Ready Check Radio. What's up, Internet? Welcome back. The holidays are over. We're 1 week in to Shadowlands. So, of course, we've got to start going through all of our initial thoughts now. Talk about where we are, where we're going, what we've seen, what we like, and maybe what we don't like. Welcome to Snowbound, the Blizzard podcast by Ready Check Radio. If you're listening on Spotify, that's Ready Check Radio, RAIDEO. Head on over to the .com, follow all the socials, join us live, twitch.tv/ReadyCheckRadio, 7 p.m. on Tuesday for Snowbound. All the other shows, you can check out the schedule there, follow all the streamers. Hope you can join us sometime. If not, a follow on YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, all that fun stuff would just be grand of you. We've got a lot to cover, so we're going to get right down to it. Let's introduce today's host, Dom Greco, a.k.a. Zista. How are you, my friend?
Pretty good. How are you?
How was the holiday?
Good.
Oh, my God. See, now, you always put these cheevers up, and they always get like the bottom cut off by your lower third. So I see this one is called
That
Damn
is
It
true.
Sticks. Yell at the one known as Mystics at least 5. There we go. 5 times in every major city. The bully of Mystics. Well, I mean, if the dude wouldn't like sub anybody if you need incentive to come visit the Twitch channel, free subs. Just come on and visit and get free subs. So how was Thanksgiving, sir?
Thanksgiving was pretty good. I spent it at home by myself. My family wanted to do like a Zoom call Thanksgiving, and
That's what we did here.
No, I'm not. I just had it on my own. That was it.
Just you by yourself. We did a
Yeah.
Zoom call with mom and the brothers and all that stuff. So kept it just our family here and the family in other houses. No, there were no meatball subs. Blech. Blech. What a gross story. What a gross story. Also joining us, a brand new host this week, going to be joining us on our adventures in Shadowlands. Angela Mercurio, a.k.a. IndieGarona. What's up, Indy?
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
No, thanks for being here. You got something sleeping back there. What the hell?
Yeah, she's awesome. She'll just sleep the whole show long.
Appreciate you joining us. How are your adventures in Shadowlands so far?
Oh my God, so good. Like, honestly, this is the first expansion in probably 3 expansions now that I've been this into, so I'm super excited.
Yeah, that's kind of like a running theme. I was saying that prior to Zista, where I didn't care about BFA. Yeah, I was going to play it just so I could talk about it on different shows that maybe I guested on or whatever at the time. I got through the storyline, and then I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to take this one off as far as Mythic and shit like that goes. But this one, yeah, I have stayed true to my word. I've been going slow, reading all the quest text and everything, so I'm very in on the lore.
Me too.
I'm involved. Oh, we're going to ask you in a second. But first, we've got to catch up with Indy. So we have been talking about our mains, what we're running through so far. Indy, what did you decide to main in Shadowlands? Was that your previous main? How long have you been playing WoW? Just kind of introduce yourself. I know a lot of people in chat and in the WoW-verse already know you, but just for those that don't.
Yeah, so surprise, surprise for anyone that knows me, I'm a priest. I can't get enough of the priest class, mainly healing classes, but the priest I'm most drawn to. And I primarily run a disc priest, and I have for many years. I've been playing since the beginning, 2004 vanilla, and I'm very into story. So Zista knows this. I will take a quest that somebody might go through in a matter of minutes, and it might take me a while because I'm sorry. This is the first expansion. I'm not like in a raid guild, so I don't feel the pressure to level really quickly. So I can actually take my time. So this time through, even though the leveling seemed really quick, I still took my time and read everything and like watched all the cinematics and all the RP. So I really enjoyed it.
sitting over there all alone. Everybody's got their own voice. She shuts the sound off. just gives them all her own voice and goes through it all. Well, it's been out in the wild now for a week. I'm choking on my headset cable. Okay. It's been out for a week now. We're going to kind of do a mini review today, gang. Now, by all means, this is not going to be our comprehensive thumbs up, thumbs down on the expansion. There's still a long way to go with Mythic coming in a week, and then the raids, and then the additional content that gets in the patches, of course, in the first few patches here to continue some of the story and things like that. Wrap up stuff with the big baddie a year or so from now. So, by all means, this is not, don't hold us to, well, you said you hated it. You said you loved it, and that changes a year from now. This is just a week in, but first, we've got to ask this a very important question. One that Kat on last show before the holidays wanted to make sure that we asked you. What is the story so far, Zista? Somebody who you said you weren't going to read anything, you were just blowing through the levels. I'm curious, what you think the story of Shadowlands so far is?
The same thing I thought before I started playing. So I don't know. We get ripped into the maw, and then really know why we were in the maw in the first place. I'm not gonna lie about that one. And then we get shot out into Ouroboros or Bastion, one of the two. I don't even remember. I blew through it so fast I don't remember which one we went to first. I'm pretty sure it's Ouroboros, so we could take the interdimensional flight path portal through. Right? We get to Ouroboros, and there's something about it's like the land of dead paladins, and then I left there and I went to Maldraxxus.
Just
that
because
was like,
you felt like it. You were done there?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was like the land of resurrecting things, like, like stitching everything together,
right,
the abominations, all that.
An important lore point, to be sure.
Then I left, and then there was Ysera, so that was good. I actually like the Ysera quest, and I'm sure we'll go in on that in a little more detail, but like, I like that part of it, but I hated the whole rest of the zone of Ardenweald because I'm not a big fan of like the Night Elf stuff. Outside of Ysera, I have no idea what was going on in Ardenweald.
So there's the seed following you. You have no idea what the hell that was, right?
and then we get to Vampire Land, and vampires are bad except for some of them. And that's what I know. That's the story so far.
Well worth your $15 for this month. well worth. So let's go to a lore junkie. Indy, how close is he?
I'd say that's just flying by the seat of your pants.
Just a little bit.
He basically thinks that we were just flung into the mall, and then we were just flung into the Bastion, but then forgot about the whole Ouroboros thing, where we learned that Ouroboros' purpose is so that souls can kind of get sent to where they're supposed to go next.
Well, you were close, sister.
I know that
you
part,
were close.
Ouroboros was frustrating me. It was really frustrating because it's like, here, let's walk around and take a tour. And I'm like, no, I want to go, go, go. And it's just like, you're making me slow down, and I don't like it, so I stopped listening. Well, shut my brain off.
Let's kind of talk about that as a concept, though, first, because I don't necessarily disagree with you, even though my personal focus was to go a little slower and read the lore and stuff. But first off, did any of you have issues? I mean, day one, on my side, I didn't. I'm on a lower pop server, though. So I was in right on time. I didn't have a queue. I've had 0 disconnects or anything like that. Like, if you asked me in a vacuum, not aware of anything else that was going on in the world, I would have said best technical launch of a WoW expansion ever. Obviously, I know a little more than that. Hasn't been all that great for some servers in particular. I know some of our friends over on A52 aren't very happy still to this day. Were either of you two impacted by that, Indy?
I didn't have any issues on my end.
Lower pop server too?
I think I'm a high pop, but it's not there's no queue.
No.
I'm on Garona.
I can't imagine why you would be on Garona. That's
I
very weird.
I always keep my main in her, like that's her home.
That's very weird. That's very weird.
Yes, I'm IndieGarona.
Mhm.
What about you, Zista?
Sounds like some fanfic right there.
Yeah.
Me, I had no problems like connection or anything like that, but I did run into a few like really bugged quests that while I was leveling that just I straight up could not advance in. And what had happened, and I was really, really frustrated because I'm trying to keep up with my friends, like a group of like 3 or 4 of us. We're all grouped up and we were trying to quest together, and some of them got through, and like I'm falling behind because I couldn't originally find the NPC in Oribos to like talk to, because there were so many people in the room and they weren't glowing, and it was like you had to talk to the person and like hit a dialogue box for the tour, and like everybody else got ahead of me, and I'm so aggravated going through, and then I got even more aggravated when I'm like, this quest is making me go really slow through the sections. So after finding that, and then it was in Bastion, I believe, and one other location, um, there was a quest that I ran into where it wouldn't go any further. It was like you had to talk to some guy. I don't remember. You talk to some guy, and then he's got like waves of like creatures coming out of him, like doubt or anger or whatever, or something like that. And it would do the first wave, they would spawn, you'd kill them all, and then it would just hang there for like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. I'm like, what is going on? Drop the quest, pick it back up, doing the same thing. Wouldn't go through. Finally, I found the solution was to drop group, and then it worked. I don't know why, but it was really frustrating. So I came across that for 2 separate quests. Is like I was penalized for being in a group during them, and I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't had
that was the only thing I came across.
I haven't had any notable issues. I think one quest, the text dialogue, the text didn't show up in the box, but that could have been just as easily, LVUI not recognizing something on the update. So I just was okay, whatever. It was a side quest. I don't care. Because I'm not invested in the side quests as you, Indy. But as far as the campaign quest, yes, I'm absolutely all over them. Now, we are going to talk a little bit about story in a minute or two here. I do want to preface this with we are not going to spoil anything for you. That said, there might be smaller things that aren't like, exorbitant or details as far as the plot line or anything goes, but you might, if you're a fan and you want those small fan service nods, maybe we might spoil 1 or 2 small things along the way, like, hey, we're talking to this person or this person. But as far as heavy spoilers, we're going to avoid those this week. We can get into those in future weeks. Now, I want to get your take on this because I can pretty much guess where everybody's going to fall. Indy, I think you're going to love this expansion from this aspect. Zista, I don't think you're going to give a rat's ass about this, but I am interested in your take on it as somebody who isn't interested in this, because I've been getting the feeling playing through Shadowlands that the way the questing and the leveling is done through the zones, and we're back on a linear path, which we haven't been for a few expansions, right? Used to picking zones. Nope. You're going to go straight through a linear path and everything. If you are somebody that wants to be told a story, wants to be given lore, this is probably one of the better expansion leveling experiences for you, because it is insanely focused on that. That's not to say that there aren't side quests, but there aren't a lot. There just aren't a lot of side quests. And you are forced to finish the campaign so that you can get your Covenant abilities and open up all the other stuff at the end. So even if you hit 60 early, you still have to finish the campaign on your first character on the way through, by the way. That's mitigated for alts. I've loved that, because I enjoy for the same reasons I enjoy Final Fantasy XIV. Like, I play it, a great deal of why I play it is for the story, the lore, and all that stuff. So I think if you're looking at it from that aspect, this has been a great expansion for leveling. I think if you don't really care about that, it might actually be a terrible expansion for leveling for you, Indy.
Why?
It is so linear. It is 100% linear. Right, but you're a lore hound. I absolutely believe that you love that, but somebody that's not into the lore, the story like you are, or even passively, you know, little less than you are, but I am still interested in it. Somebody like Zista, I just have a feeling this expansion's leveling was probably a little more boring than previous ones for somebody like you, Zista, because it was straight line. It was just go.
So you mean like Final Fantasy 13?
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 10?
Yeah. I mean,
You know, it's the hallway.
yeah.
I didn't mind it. I really didn't mind it. It's just I thought the story from like the little bits that like I gathered, like I'm gonna be honest, like I did watch the cutscenes as they were coming. I didn't like escape out of them or anything like that. But my goal was to just reach max level in one playthrough, which I did on the first day. It took like 13 hours, I think it was. But I didn't mind it. It's just like it felt like some of it, like the Maw, for example, just felt like a horse race. It's like, and they're off, and it's just like everybody's like running to go do everything. Like
it's a horse race that you're not allowed to use your horses.
Kind of, yeah.
No using your horses. I just felt, playing through it, I absolutely loved it, Indy. You being a lorehound, I was like, oh yeah, Indy's probably loving this too. But I was like, you know what? If you like that more sandbox-ish approach of previous expansions where pick a zone. If you get bored with it, pick a different zone. Then there's definitely that is missing. On the flip side, your alts, and Omi's already said it in chat, your alts are going to have the best time ever. Like, this is a severely alt-friendly expansion.
Which, for me, isn't great because my alts are either priests or other, like, squishy caster classes, so Warlock, Mage, Priest is pretty much all I'll play. And I don't know, like, I might level my Mage, but I'm so into...
I'm sorry. I have to say this. That just scared the shit out of me. Out of the corner of my eye, I'm watching just to make sure audio levels are good while you're talking and everything. Your door behind you just opened, and nothing is there.
I've pledged myself to Revendreth. There's tortured souls.
Like, it just slowly, like, horror movie opened.
Yeah. I asked my roommate to crack it because my cat was scratching at the door and I felt bad locking her in here.
I was like, get out of there, Indy. Get out of there.
Yeah.
All right. So sorry, Indy. So launch day, it comes, you're off. What are you doing? How'd you go through it? What were your initial thoughts as you're questing?
I mean, I stream the whole thing so people can kind of get my take on it. I happen to be very derpy when it comes to doing stuff like Zista does. If I was trying to speed level and just grind mobs and kill stuff as quick as I could, it would be the worst thing in the world because I suck at that. If it comes to like breaking things down and reading them and trying to figure out, well, why is he doing this and why are they doing that? Like, that's where I truly get into it. So from the moment we're thrown into the maw, I was invested. Like, I was, okay, we've got something to do, something of great importance. And I was in 100%. It had me.
Zista, the maw is that place right at the beginning that you.
Oh yeah, no, I know all the zones.
Okay. I just want to bring you into the fold here. You're like, oh yeah, there's Jaina. Great, fantastic. Next, great, we found her. Hey, I beat the game. Game's over. I beat it.
Saved.
I have been enjoying a lot of small things, and I asked this question on a previous episode, Zista, when I was talking about, like, look, when we open up the afterlife basically as a story piece, then that does give Blizz the ability to do a lot of fan service and nodding on characters from past expansions and things like that, possibly making appearances. And we speculated on, could that be overdone to the point where it's so fan servicey that it just feels false? I did not get that impression at all playing through it. There is fan servicey stuff. I remember being in Maldraxxus and doing quest lines and coming up to Baroness Vosh, and I was like, oh, that's cool, Baroness Vosh. Yeah, I wonder, that's cool. Yeah, they gave it the same name. That's awesome. I wonder if it's the same Vosh, though. And it's totally side dialogue. It's not in the quest. It's just you say, hey, who are you or what are you doing here? And she kind of gives her, hey, you're from Azeroth. I thought I left a bigger impression when I was in Azeroth. They knew me as Lady Vosh, and I was like, all right, here we go. This is what I was talking about. Those little nods to fans, some of these characters coming back, done in a small way. If you know, and if you don't, it doesn't matter. I was really impressed with some small stuff like that, and that's like a minor spoiler, yeah, sure, but and there are more of those throughout the entire campaign. I thought they were great touches. I thought they were really well done, and I'm not gonna lie, as a grown-ass man, Indy, I was sitting there grinning like an idiot at some of them.
How about the family reunions?
Yes.
We have a couple.
Yeah.
Yep. I was like, I was so fuzzy. My heart was so fuzzy, like when that stuff happens, because I don't know, like two people that, if it's family or whatever, separated by death and time, and like it's just, I love when they bring characters back together, and I love seeing characters that we thought dead, like even running into Lady Vosh, even though she's like not a fun or friendly character. It was cool to see. And I thought Maldraxxus was going to be my least favorite zone, and I think that it was awesome because of all the stuff that, I'm not going to like spoil anything, but all the stuff that happened there, all the stuff we go through.
I thought it was cool that she had kind of a bitchy attitude. Like when you have the nerve to ask who she is, Zista, and she's like, bitch, you're from Azeroth. I did some stuff there. I know you remember. Like she gets the little attitude on her. Like, I don't know if you caught things like that. Obviously, I'm sure you caught, hey, there's Vosh, and that's Lady Vosh. But like, were you interested enough to like click on the side conversation stuff to kind of get what these characters said? Did you go into it like that, or were you just so focused on 60 it didn't matter?
No, I was really just focused, but it's like, so I realized when you had mentioned Lady Baroness Vosh or whatever, I remember that, and it's like, and somebody asked me, who did you see leveling up which past characters? I would have been like, I don't remember anything. But when you mentioned that, I'm like, oh, I do remember that quest. So it's like, as stuff is mentioned, like it'll trigger, like, yeah, because like I was
so you're like
very tired,
passively absorbing everything.
I was very tired, and I was just kind of going through the motions. So I was absorbing, but I wasn't retaining. So it's one of those things where, you ever have a long night out drinking with people, and the next morning you're like, I really don't remember very much from last night. And people start mentioning stuff, and you're like, oh, I remember that.
No,
that's kind of my memory of Shadowlands right now.
Don't know what you're talking about.
It's all a haze.
Never once happened. I have no clue what you're talking about. I don't do stuff like that. That's for bad people.
No, never.
That's for bad people. Mine usually starts with, where the fuck am I?
What am I wearing?
Why do I have a kilt on? So you kind of cued into this, Indy, so we're going to go there next. We're going to talk about the zones themselves a little bit. Everybody going in knew that I was looking forward to Maldraxxus probably the most, so it's funny to hear that you were not. So we'll kind of go through them, and we're going to take them in order of appearance. Just kind of give your initial thoughts. What did you think? Did you enjoy the questing in there? Did you enjoy the storylines? Overall, which ones were your favorites? So let's start with where we start when you pick up the expansion. That, of course, first is the Maw. Once you visit your Stormwind or whatever your capital city, and you get chucked into ICC or Icecrown, and then off to the Maw. You're not there all that long initially. It's just that's kind of just really setting up the story. You're there for maybe 10 minutes, even if you read the quests themselves, 10, 15 minutes. And we're going to come back to the Maw, so maybe just your first impressions upon initial entry.
Me first?
Yeah, sure.
So when you are first thrust into the Maw, I basically loved the overall aesthetic there, because it reminded me a lot of different places that I enjoyed in Azeroth. It also definitely, so basically the lava, the rock terrain, it being devoid of life, it was like the perfect introduction to Shadowlands for me. Because you're seeing that, everything that exists there is pain and torture and punishment and cruelty. And they really do a good job driving that home. You're like, okay, this is hell. So that was definitely
Yeah.
and I enjoyed it, like, not because it's a terrible place, but because the zone did such a great job in, like, provoking that emotion from me.
I thought when I was streaming it on launch day, somebody said, the only thing I don't like about the Maw is that all the polygons that Blizzard had were used for character models and environment and none for monsters because all the monsters are basically just smoke or wisps initially when you first hit the
yeah.
Maw. So
Yeah.
they were like, what's going on? I was like, trust me, it makes sense. It makes sense lore-wise. If you don't know, you don't know, but it makes sense. It makes sense. Zista, you just wanted the hell out of there as fast as possible because there was not a lot of leveling to do there, right?
Yeah, intro Maw I did not enjoy really. It's like can't mount, super frustrating. Like I was definitely the fastest person in my group. I was with surprisingly I started off leveling with it was a druid. Was it 2 druids? I don't know. One of our uh, group party people, they left immediately because they're like, I'm not leveling at that pace, and then just like, I'm not doing this. I'm going at my own pace. So they left. So I don't even remember. Druid, I think they were. Yeah, druid. And so then I was another druid and a shaman that I was leveling with and a hunter, and I was definitely the fastest one getting around, picking the quests up, getting to mobs and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
it was
I mean,
just
there
I don't know.
wasn't. I enjoyed it for the story. I was like amazed at how fast into we like basically saved everybody. I was like, oh,
Oh.
okay, we got them all. Okay, no, we don't, we don't.
Yeah, all for nothing.
Yeah, I was like, wow.
I don't remember any of the story of the initial Maw though. Like
yeah,
the
we're not
very
going to go
beginning Maw.
too far into it, but yeah, you feel
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, well, there's Jaina, okay, and there's Thrall, all right, we got that, we got the check, all right, we got them all. Oh, we got to go get one. Oh, shit, everybody's gone again. God damn it.
Yep. And Bane's one of my favorites, so
Yeah.
like my heart is twisted by that whole deal.
Yep. Then it's off to Oribos. I don't know. I mean, it's this whole like multi-dimensional thing. The city in the quote sky, the orderer of the souls as they come in, which basically, I'll go first. I was kind of disappointed with Oribos. I love the aesthetic of the city, or whatever the hell you want to call it. We'll call it a city. I think it just makes it easier. But overall, I was like, sweet. Shat was a circle. Awesome. Dalaran was a circle. Awesome. Oribos, fucking circle. Awesome. Like every hub since BCC forward, or BC forward, has basically just been a circle. Okay,
except
fine.
for last expansion.
Yeah, it's got a couple different levels. That's awesome. I did like the aesthetic of it. I do like the kind of like war council-ish room where you keep, the main story keeps coming to and from as you go. But, and by the way, I did think like the flight points out of Oribos, like that was ripped right from Terra, basically. Like, I don't know if either of you remember playing Terra and getting on a flying mount to go to someplace, and they go through this gate, and then there's like a sequence where, you're basically in a light tunnel or whatever, and then it comes out the gate in the other zone. It's a hidden loading screen. But yeah, it's like ripped right from Terra, basically. Oribos didn't really do it for me. I can appreciate it as a central hub and its function in the story. I did like the aesthetic, but overall, I would have liked to have seen a little more worth exploring than there ultimately ended up being there, Zista, for me.
Yeah, my I have 3 gripes with Oribos. Everything else is fine. Number 1 is when you take the teleporter, can you just put us in front of the flight path every time? Like, why do we have to guess if it's on the left or the right, depending on which pad you take? Just drop us in front of it. That's all I want. That's number 1. Number 2 is, can we have more than one mailbox? Like,
No.
that's really frustrating.
Nope,
One
just
mailbox. And then the other one is that even though they like, I remember doing the thing where they like walk you around or whatever, and there's like that sub like basement, that has the I don't the guys with the flame heads and the I don't know. They look like walking candles to me. I don't know what they are.
You should probably read a quest every now and then, buddy.
A lot of my friends have been comparing them to like the Consortium from Burning Crusade, the toilet paper men.
It's Hades from Hercules.
Gotcha.
I thought
Yeah.
that too, the Consortium.
But that basement was really hard to find. I had a quest to turn in, and I'm like going back and forth on the teleport pad, up and down, going where it, and I'm like, oh, there's a third level that's like really obnoxiously hidden away. It's tucked down like this side hallway down some stairs. That was frustrating.
Indy, Ouroboros for you?
Well, for me, someone who gets perpetually lost and has zero sense of direction, I like a circle because you can't get lost. If you keep running, you'll eventually find what you're looking for.
Fair enough. All right, fair enough.
So I mean, I liked it. I don't have any problems with it, and I like the flight paths. Having never played Terra before, that was the first time I've seen something like that.
You've never seen Star Wars?
No, I played Star Wars.
No, I meant the movies.
Oh, yeah. Hyperspace.
Talking about it in games. I liked it, though. I didn't have any gripes with Ouroboros.
Yeah. All right. So we're kind of split on that one. I didn't hate it. I just like...
Oh, I don't hate the zone either.
I
Those are
don't.
just like 3 minor complaints.
I don't care
that I have,
about your complaints. I only care about my own.
Zista doesn't want to run 10 feet.
Could we just please put signs by these telepads? Next up, Bastion. Zista, you get to go first on this one, my friend.
Not a huge fan of the zone. I don't like the paladin motif, and it seems like everything is split on multiple levels, and there are a lot of times with quests where I'm like running to the area and I'm like, oh, it's above me, like, and I have to go find like some weird teleport pad to get up there, and it's just like,
or
the zone
walk
is
7 miles back to the beginning of the cliff and then come back.
Yeah, it was the same thing that frustrated me all the way back in like Burning Crusade with like Hellfire Peninsula, and it's just like I almost called it Hellfire Peninsuela because I had a guildmate do that one time, and
oh my god, that's awesome.
I laugh about it all the time. So if you ever hear me way butcher a name, it's not because I don't know it, but it's probably an inside joke. So
those are always really good for podcasts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Inside jokes.
So that's why I had to explain it, even though I got it right. But like, because I literally almost said Hellfire Peninsuela, and I definitely would have gotten some looks, but
a little bit.
But yeah, Hellfire Peninsula, it was like there was a lot of stuff where it's like giant cliff drops off, but you fall to your death, but you're going the right direction. This is the same thing. It's like it's way up there. It's not so bad as a demon hunter if I have to get from up to down, but it's when I have to get from down to up that's really annoying. And a lot of my friends do not like questing with me because I'll just go jump off a cliff and glide away, and they're like, I can't do that. And I'm like, you don't have to, but I'm not gonna not do it because you can't,
Indy, Bastion.
Why did you never like it when I sent you off a cliff?
Because I was on my rogue in those days.
Maybe I'm the reason he switched to Demon Hunter.
That's why he doesn't play rogue anymore.
100%.
Screw this.
Bastion for me, honestly, I arrived in the zone and I was like, okay, this is going to be my covenant. I was 99% on board with this covenant because I like I love the whole look and feel of the zone. Because I mean, I'm a disc priest that wears all this angelic transmog and never takes it off. I never look evil. And so I like the angel wing vibe and the aspirants and the whole hierarchy there and the story. So I was impressed with the zone. Now I will say this: the whole multi-level, being that I have no sense of direction in this game, I did get thrown off many times by thinking a quest was here and then realizing it was on some other level. So yes, that wasted a lot of time for me. I'll agree there.
Yeah, this one for me, I thought I was gonna hate, just in all the preview stuff, because it was like, Zista, you had said one of the same things that I was literally thinking. I was like, great, I don't play Paladin. I played Paladin for a minute and a half, maybe, years ago. I don't like this. I'm like kind of the opposite of you. Not that I always go for like the undead or dark grimy and armor and stuff like that, but I also don't go for the high-end glitz glam and shaded in light and bathed in the heavens look either. So I was like, Bastion's probably going to be one of my least favorite zones. Playing through it, it gained a little bit for me. There were some nice I thought there was some nice pathing through there with some of the questing. Occasionally, yeah, I did have the verticality problem, but it wasn't too bad. I really didn't get too stuck anywhere and have to backtrack or do anything like that. Maybe a little less than Uzista. So it did a little better than I thought it was going to. Still didn't break like my top 3 favorite zones in the expansion, but I wasn't as eager to get out of it as I thought I was going to be. I was like absolutely delighted that it was first. Because I was like, because I didn't play beta, so I had no idea like the order the zones were going to come up and anything. So as soon as I was playing that, and I was like, this is first. Oh, thank God, I'll be done with it. You know, I'll just be out of here. I wasn't as like, oh, thank God that's over. But then you move on to Maldraxxus, which
There's X's in there.
Yeah, there are double X's. I mean, you put double X's in it in WoW, and I'm a fan. Give me Naxxramas, Maldraxxus, all of it. I thought this was going to be my favorite zone. It's my second favorite zone. I will say from a questing standpoint, this was probably the best way to enter a zone that WoW has done in a long time for me. Coming into that whole arena and all the shit that is going on there, and that you are just immediately thrust into it. I thought that was a great introduction to that zone. I loved the storyline throughout this entire zone. The storyline here I thought was incredibly well done. I was invested in every single one of these houses and the story with Draka, and I absolutely loved this from top to bottom. So if I have to pick it overall for everything, questing, environment, look, feel, all of that, Maldraxxus probably is my number 1 still. But if I'm going with just aesthetic and walking around in it, it actually fell to number 2 for me. But damn, I thought Maldraxxus hit on all cylinders, probably better than any zone in the rest of the expansion, Indy.
Yeah, I think Maldraxxus surprised the hell out of me because how you felt about Bastion, I felt like, okay, the Scourge area, the Maldraxxus, I'm not gonna enjoy it. Let's just get it over with, get it done.
Yeah.
But the way that we enter the zone, exactly how you said, it just like it was exciting. And then meeting with Draka, and then the whole 5 houses thing kind of had a Game of Thronesy vibe to it. And then the area, like the whole area for me at least, was easy to navigate, so that was a definite plus. I didn't really get lost in Maldraxxus. And just I don't know, just like everything was totally enjoyable there, and I actually felt like it was a shorter zone because maybe I enjoyed it a little too much, unlike other areas.
Yeah, it was.
Through.
I agree there. It did feel a little shorter than the other ones. Zista's just kind of like staring off into oblivion when we're talking about like, yeah, it felt like Game of Thrones.
Who's Draka?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
That was the first thing that popped into my mind. Who's Draka?
Please tell me you're joking.
You'll never know.
So Maldraxxus for you.
Maldraxxus for me is definitely my second favorite zone as well. I love the arena. I know we're not going to talk about it right now, but the dungeon is like one of my favorite dungeons in there. I won't say which one yet. And I'm really looking forward to one of them in particular on Mythic Plus. But I love the whole aesthetic of it. I loved just the a lot of the side quests and stuff. And like this is one of the first zones where I was like, you know what? I really, really like this expansion, because if it was all like Bastion, don't get me wrong, Bastion was beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. I have nothing wrong with the aesthetics of it. It's just the layout is my problem with Bastion. But Maldraxxus, everything felt great. I didn't have too many problems with things on different levels. Things didn't seem too spread out. It was like you have a short, concise focus of, left, right, northeast, northwest, like grab these quests, go do these side little hubs, come together, open this gate, unlock the covenant, like cool. I liked it. And I did like, and we haven't really touched on it either, talking about like leveling through these zones, but all the little like previews of the covenant abilities as you're leveling in these zones too felt really cool. And like, if I hadn't already had my mind set on the vampires, this probably would have been my covenant. So
yeah, definitely. I just haven't felt that way like entering a World of Warcraft zone since probably the beginning of Wrath, when you hit the shores of Northrend and just shit is going down. I thought that was really well done. Then you follow that up with Ardenweld, which is, basically home of the druids, as far as the aesthetic goes. Indy, did this one do it for you?
Ardenweald?
Yeah.
Let's just say the zone, as we can see behind Zista, the zone is beautiful. The sounds, the look and feel of it is so beautiful. Everything else, he just made himself disappear. Everything else, absolutely. I think I was not happy, to say the least. The area felt grindy. Like the quest felt like so grindy and so annoying. The story was super slow to unfold. It felt unnecessarily long and drawn out. And that infamous cutscene that everybody gets to, I cried and then I was mad. So I didn't have good vibes in Ardenweald.
I'm so glad you said that. Not the cried part. Like, it was sad, but I am so glad you said it, because I was like, is there something wrong with me? Because this zone, like, I play a druid, right? I main a druid. This is the second expansion that I've gone into maining a druid tank. Like, I just did not care. Halfway through this, I was like, this is my favorite zone as far as cutscenes. I don't give a fuck about. Like, these are beautiful cutscenes. I was like appreciating the animation and everything, but I was like, I just don't care about what is being said here. At like the 50% way through this zone, I didn't care about the story anymore. I know what cutscene you're talking about.
They're doing
They did
very little. They did very little to make the player feel invested.
Yeah.
Because you get into the zone and they're just like playing games and like goofing around, and you're like, oh, okay, this is just cutesy, funny. But they did very little to kind of like, I feel like they waited way too long to talk to reveal what it is that you're actually questing for.
Yeah. I mean, it is worth it, Zista. It does have a mild payoff that is interesting, but I tend to agree that this probably fell to my least favorite zone when I thought that was going to be Bastion. And it's beautiful. The cutscenes were beautifully animated. I loved the cutscenes. I just didn't care about the content in them, because I did not get invested in the story here. After about a dozen quests in, where I was like, yeah, okay, great. Yeah, come on, Seed. Let's go. Come on. Follow me. We'll take you down the freaking road. Let's go.
Yeah. Tarkoth in chat says it's the Moogle's homeworld, and kind of it feels a lot. It's all goofy and campy and lighthearted, and then at the end they hit you with the feels, and it's just like the contrast of that is like, that was definitely on purpose, like to take you down that emotional roller coaster. I was not invested until the very end of this zone. I went into this zone knowing I was going to dislike it, and I came out agreeing with myself. Like, just did not enjoy it at all.
Sister was like, good job, self. Good job.
Yeah, so of course I would select, the zone I hated the most for my first Shadowlands background.
Yeah. This was, just didn't do it for me. Revendreth, on the other hand, oh my god.
Yes.
Like, I love vampires anyway. Everybody that watches this show knows that. You could probably see 900 different vampire books and shit on my walls back here.
Twilight's back there.
No, it's not. Get the hell out of here. You turn your camera off right now. So I was looking forward to it, but I thought, like, the aesthetic, I was looking forward to Maldraxxus more because I was like, well, Revan Death's just going to look very gothic and, like oh, look, it's the Romanian countryside, right? Like that type of, here's how everybody presents vampires. And to a certain extent, that is absolutely true. There are some nifty alternate views on vampires and things like that I did enjoy in this zone. I am actually still finishing the campaign here. I'm 60, but I'm still finishing the campaign as of last night. I didn't get a chance to play today. I wanted to get my Covenant abilities before the stream today, but I didn't get a chance to. So that's where I'm at personally. This went from number 2 on my list to number 1 on my list, both for the story in the zone, although Maldraxxus is very, very close on that front. I could have gone without one thing, though. I could have gone without the Gaston from Beauty and the Beast lead vampire. That he didn't do it for me. Let's just say it wasn't.
One bites like Gaston.
Right. It wasn't distracting to the point where I was like, oh, I hate this because I can't stand this character. But it was kind of like, shit, I got to go back and talk to him real quick. All right. Yeah. All right. Great. Cutscene's over. Let's go. Back in the zone. My one gripe with this zone, I only have one gripe with it. If there's a lot of split leveling, like Zista you talked about before, I don't mind that. What I do mind is that 90% of the split leveling is outdoors, but for mount purposes, registers as being indoors. You'll have half a floor above you that the rest of the building is just broken and gone. And because you are under that 1/3 of what used to be a second story, you are registered as being inside. That's annoying. But yeah, other than that, this was my number 1 zone, Indy.
Same. So like going from being absolutely certain I was going to pick Bastion, the moment I got into Revendreth, I'm like, no, this is trouble. I fell in love with the look and the feel, and there's Gothic buildings and like this Victorian, almost like Sleepy Hollow vibe. And the NPCs all have this delicious accent, and their clothes. Oh my God, the clothes that they're wearing. I literally zoomed into first person and started looking around and I'm like, I want to live here. Can I just move here? Like this is so me. And I look like I stick out like a sore thumb there because my priest is all like yellow and glowing and
the light of heaven just follows your priest around.
Yeah, but
these vampires are like, hey, really? Could you shut that off?
Revendreth.
You turn that off, please.
I may when I can unlock that full armor set. It's pretty nice looking for Clothy. But yeah, and then when we got introduced to Sire Denathrius, that was it. I was like, that's it. I'm done. I had a crush on him.
Oh, Zista.
I mean, it's the vamp. I don't like Revendreth. I know because I'm reading it in the show notes. It's the name, but anytime I go to say the zone, I'm just Vampire Land. Like I don't remember the name of it. This is my homeworld. Like everybody jokes on my stream that I'm a vampire. I'm up till all hours of the night, sleep during the day. You know, I'm pale. I don't get out in the sun. You know, like this was a given. This is where I had to go. Like I knew going into this expansion whether or not this was the best covenant for me. This is what I was picking. It just so happened it's also the best covenant for a demon hunter. I love the abilities. Even though I can jump and glide and stuff all over the place, just having that teleport, you know, like it's great. I love it.
Yeah.
Because it's really helpful in Torghast when there's a lot of booby traps and you can just warp right through them and not have to worry about dodging the fire or, you know, anything like that. So like that's a lot of fun. The story is probably, this is the one I think I probably paid attention to the most because like I said, it's more relatable to, you know, like the inside jokes and stuff with my stream.
It's more relatable because, you know, Zista hangs out with a lot of vampires and he's like, yeah, that's totally what the life is like.
It is. It's exactly. Like I love I think it's a side quest. There's a little take on like what mirrors and light and stuff do with the vampires, and that's really cool. Our main like mode of transportation is going through the mirrors to like warp through other areas of the zone. I love all that. It's just there's a lot of like deep-seated like vampire lore that they've put their own little like spin on, and I absolutely love it.
In and out of all of this, and then at the end here, we've gone to the Maw a couple of times by this point. Obviously, I'm still finishing the Revendreth story, so I will defer to you on these next two questions. Besides to chime in on where I'm gonna go with Covenant abilities, because I'm still unsure. But in the re-trips to the Maw, anything else you wanted to bring up here that we maybe didn't talk about at the beginning, just because it wouldn't make sense, Indy or Zista?
Yeah, the Maw for me the second time around is way more exciting. So much more to do. Like I'm hunting for rares, trying to kill mobs that haven't necessarily killed before. I'm actually looking in little corners for like dead NPCs you could click on to like get stuff to turn in, because it's all about getting the approval reputation to unlock the next set, and I'm that close. I'll probably get there later tonight to getting to the next rank of approval to bump up. And this zone, I make sure I can do everything that I can do in there. I max out every day to my full jailer level, all the way up to to the point where you spend too much time in there, your health starts ticking down by like 10% a hit, and I'm like, okay, guess it's time to leave, but I don't want to. Like, I want to stay in the zone. I want to keep going because I want to just see what's next, what's around the corner, So,
Indy, anything you want to chime in with extra on the Maw?
I could just see him throwing a tantrum and being dragged out of the Maw, just like unwillingly the whole time. I will leave the Maw quite willingly, only because I haven't. I'm kind of like a fresh 60, so I still am. I'm continuing to quest. So I've been back there like a couple of times, and I think what he's talking about is that the jailer's gaze or whatever. Like, the more aware he becomes of you, that certain things happen. I've only gotten that up to like 1, so I don't know what it's like to actually be in there for that long to have those things happen, but it would be pretty interesting. Like, I kind of am curious, but when I quest in there, it pretty much tells you to leave before you can do all that stuff. So I don't think I'm up to his point yet, but probably this week I'll learn much more about that.
I've gone a little too far, like trying to complete the map, explore it, and I went into an area called the Beast Warrens, which I don't believe we're supposed to be in yet. And every like 10 to 15 seconds, you get feared for 50% of your health gets taken off. And I'm like, but I want to keep looking.
If you could
Should
just
take a
wanna keep
healer with
looking.
you.
If you just go ahead and I just imagine like somebody from Blizzard watching this. If you could just go ahead and read the fucking quests, please. If you could just, please, Zista, just read a damn
But I want to
quest.
explore the map. I don't care about the quests. I just want the map finished.
All right, so a few quick hit items for you then. So what did you think of overall first, before we talk about our individual covenants? What did you think of having to go through the entire story to get the covenant abilities for your character? Because I know, hey, that's no big deal for somebody like Indy or I who are invested in the lore and intended to go through it anyway before we did much of anything else anyway. But that is a big complaint that I'm seeing a lot on the internet, which is, I didn't want to, oh my God, I thought when I dinged 60, I could just do this. But no, I still have to finish the rest of this story. I personally don't care, but yeah, Zista, some people not really digging that they had to wait.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely hit 60 before I finished the story. So it was like, all right, I hit 60 at like, I want to say 11 hours in, and then it's like I took another 2 finishing the campaign to pick my covenant and all that. So that was frustrating, but at the same point, like if I'm looking at it from like a slower pace perspective and I wasn't trying to rush to get there, I think having the preview of every single coven and their abilities is kind of crucial to picking for the first time. So on the first playthrough, I absolutely agree that it is necessary. You need to do this, because if you get through, if you say you hit 60 3 zones in and you don't even make it to Revendreth and you never see the Covenant, you never even got to the zone, you don't see the abilities, anything like that. You look at Indy probably would have picked the Bastion Covenant before even getting to experience, Revendreth had you done that. So I think it's necessary at least your first time through. So
it didn't change my perspective. I'm either going Necrolord or Venthyr, one or the other. I haven't decided which yet. They both pretty much benefit me as a Guardian Druid anyway, so I'll be safe there as far as picking which one when I get there. Indy, I can probably guess that this really didn't bother you at all because you weren't there to get the Covenant abilities ASAP anyway.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, this is one of the first years I'm not like in a raid guild. I feel no pressure to hit max level. I feel no pressure to like gear up quickly. So it was enjoyable, but I also think it's necessary because if you're not properly introduced to each of these covenants, you're missing so much. Like to just choose based on the ability, but there's so much more than that.
Yeah. All right, quick hit time. Favorite dungeon. Zista, which have you run? Which one's your favorite? Why? And are you a little worried at any of them when it comes to Mythic Plus opening up in a week? Like maybe this one's going to be a pain in the ass or so?
I've run every single one on Mythic difficulty, so I've gotten good amount of time with all of them. My favorite one from a story point of view and the aesthetics is The Other Side. Yeah. The Other Side. That's probably my favorite in that one. My favorite from a mechanic point of view is I think it's the Theater of Pain. And that one has me worried the most on Mythic Plus, just because the last boss is just cluster. There's so much going on in that fight.
I'm gonna go with Plaguefall.
Insane.
I really enjoyed Plaguefall. First time through there was a little dicey just on pathing, but wasn't crazy. I thought it was the perfect length. I like some of the mechanics, particularly in the last boss with the the tentacles going everywhere. That's the official, when Blizzard is talking about what they're gonna put in a dungeon, they're like, put more of these things. Tentacles? Yes, tentacles. Okay. I really liked it. But again, it fed into that whole Meldraxxus, Naxxramas, that whole, if they would have called it Plaguefall XX, then it would have been my favorite dungeon of all time. Put some X's in the title, and I'm all for it. But I love that whole Scourge, Lich type atmosphere. So that one really did it for me. Indy, what do you got?
Well, I don't really have enough info yet to make an educated decision here because, I haven't, as a healer, I like to make sure that I'm geared properly to go into an instance and heal people and not make them feel burdened by my undergearedness.
No.
So
you come in undergeared so I can blame you when my tank dies.
No, I don't let people die.
No.
Unless one person died in the Halls of Atonement and they deserve to die because they were literally standing in stuff waiting for me to heal them through it. And I'm like, I'm Disc. I'm not throwing direct heals on you unless you're the tank. But no, the Halls
it wasn't me for the record.
The Halls of Atonement, as a rogue, he was a mana sponge, by the way. But Halls of Atonement was really cool but short-lived. I'm interested to get into the other instances and see. I probably have a different answer next.
Yeah, I am a tank. I am. And I have not grouped with Zista in forever.
Well, that's because you're playing Alliance.
Yeah, well, that's probably why. I was screw this. I switched. You purposely. I used to play Horde. I play Alliance now, Sticks, yeah. Purposely told the healer, I don't want to see a single heal on him until he's below 35%. We're going to teach him how to do that. I had just come back after a month's break, and he's like, come on, we'll take you into the Mythic. I'm like, I'm not geared for this. He's like, it's fine. We're over geared. We got you. I don't want to see a single heal on that tank until he's below 35%. Oh, God. Other quick hits. Renown gaining. Zista, I'll defer to you since I'm not quite there yet. A lot of
Mhm.
griping back and forth about maybe time gating is Blizzard's answer for maybe not as content rich an expansion. That's one of the gripes I'm seeing tossed around here when it comes to things like renown gaining and Torghast and things like that, being time gated more than anything. Agree, disagree, happy with it, want to see it sped up?
I'd say at the start of the expansion, at least right now, I think it's great. I think the pacing is perfect. I'm gonna say once I hit 60, quite frankly, I was overwhelmed. There's so much to do, so much stuff to do. It's like you got your covenant, you got to do this, that. You got the adventure table, you got, anima. You have to micromanage. You have quests to get more anima, like battlegrounds, if you want to do that kind of stuff, and then it's like I have to hit all the mythic pluses, or not pluses, but the mythic zeros before the reset to make sure I can get the most amount of gear that I could get before raid next week. And it's just like I felt overwhelmed, and it's like so much to do. Like I skipped running heroic dungeons entirely. I went from level 60, ran like maybe 2 or 3 normals to jump right into mythics.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm going to end up
So,
too, is just jumping straight into the mythics.
Yeah. So I don't. I was overwhelmed. So having the renown levels like slowly paced, I think is perfect. And then we'll get another 3 points this week, and I know that opens another part of my campaign story. So I'm looking forward to that. I think it's just like it's a lot of like leaves you looking forward to stuff, and the fact that it is time gated is just more relief on me because I'm like, there's so many games coming out right now that I want to play, and I know a lot of people are looking forward to Cyberpunk right around the corner. I think what 8 days till
Yeah, 9
Cyberpunk comes
days till
out.
Cyberpunk.
So it's like having these short little things of I only have X amount to do this week is kind of a nice relief for a lot of people. Not everybody, but if this is your only game you play, I can understand the frustration. But if you're somebody who plays a lot of stuff, I think it's perfect for you.
Indy, I think you're not quite there yet. Yes? Have you
I'm
been doing the
there.
renown?
Oh yes,
Okay.
I just started doing it. I've got like 2 points, and I've got a couple of quests that'll give me a couple more. But I totally agree with him rather than repeat everything that he said, but like with the pacing is perfect, and giving you something to look forward to is what's most incentivizing for me. Being a huge fan of the Fable series, and the renown in that game was things that you would have to grind in order to do more quests in order to obtain certain things. So it it kind of just brings back that vibe, and I enjoy that they've added that into the game rather than just rep grinding, because that's boring.
Torghast, thumbs up, thumbs down.
I like it. I kind of wish the endless mode was there.
I was just
but-
going to ask, do you think an infinite version has to come back at some point, or should it come back, even if
Yeah, but I
Blizzard
think
doesn't?
for now it's okay. Like later on in the expansion, sure, but like now with everything time gated once again, I think it's fine for the way it is at the moment.
Indy, agree? Yeah.
I've only done the like the scenario that they do to introduce you to it, so I've only just now unlocked it. So and as being a priest who refused to go shadow, I feel like I'm going to be in for a lot of pain in there. I don't know.
Probably. Probably. I think at some
The-
point the infinite has to come back.
Yeah.
Probably won't. Yeah, I mean they've been pretty adamant in statements that we're not doing that. Here's 18 floors, coming. But
Mhm.
I feel like it'll get there at some point. I feel like we'll get infinite back at some point. PvP. I don't PvP. I have to fully defer to both of you on this. Gearing system there. I am hearing good things about the gear system and gearing up through PvP, but it's just not something I do, so I'm not going to pretend to be an expert here, Zista.
I haven't touched on PvP too much, so I can't really speak for the gearing system. I just know I tried to do the quest for the first week to get the honor and random battlegrounds, and I fell a little short, and I didn't realize that upon the weekly reset today, that quest just disappears. And then you have to grab the new one and start all over. I thought I still had, as long as it was in my log, I had time to work on it. That's not the case. So if you're going to start on it, commit to finishing it before the reset. That's all I can really say there.
Indy, are you a PvPer? As part of your intro to everybody?
I enjoy PvP healing a great deal. The only PvP I've seen in Shadowlands so far, though, is the world PvP that I get, caught up in questing, because Alliance enjoy jumping Horde when they have them outnumbered 3-1. But that said, I do plan on doing some battlegrounds, and I'll know more, I guess, after I try some
I
of those
definitely
out.
quested with war mode off because I
I
wanted
had
the
it on the
factions.
whole time, and you know what? Like I don't mind getting ganked. It's part of the game, but it gets a little bit, and it does seem like an alliance trait. You don't I don't often see Horde doing this where they form a huge like cluster and they sit right outside the maw and they just wait for you, and they just like one by one you're marching into them, and they just, even if you have no honor, like you have the debuff that says you're worth no honor, they still want to kill you. I don't get it.
I have no idea what you're talking about. We don't do that.
Oh, in chat, PvP healing for the masochist in SL. I enjoy it. I love the pace and the stress of it. Like, exciting.
I just threatened to get my main. How about the command table? I have no interest in the command table. This is like 100% mobile frickin' game for me, and I'm out. I'm out. I don't want any part of it.
But
I
what
think
if
it's
the
the
rewards
best
are
one.
worth it?
What's that?
I think it's the best one that they've done in the last couple expansions. Like since this was announced or introduced in, I think it was Warlords of Draenor. We had the
Yeah.
tables. I think this is the best version of it that they've had yet. I love watching the battle system like play out. Like there's a skip to the end button. Never once pushed that button. I've pushed the ×2 speed to watch it go faster, but I want to see how that battle plays out every single time.
My command table is probably going to be done by the time I log back in. It was being constructed.
Mm-hmm.
Nope. I'm checking out. All right.
I was actually just looking for my phone. I was like, I need to do my table when I
like,
saw it in the notes.
Oh my
and
God,
I'm like,
thank God that's in the show notes.
I don't know where my
I'm
phone
getting
went,
WoW
but yeah.
stuff done. I'm getting WoW stuff done. All right, so finally, overall comparison time, we'll wrap it up. We're going to stay away from other Blizzard news. There wasn't a whole ton this week. Hearthstone players are still pissed because Blizzard can't figure out how to actually give you gold while not giving you gold. Diablo, fans are kind of talking about should a healer be in the game or not. And Overwatch 2, I think it's still looking like it's a little earlier in the year than people think. Probably right after BlizzCon, because now we have the next season of the Overwatch League being delayed. Yeah, that's because it's going to coincide with the launch. I don't think they want to split the season. That's the whole. So we'll skip all of that, cast it aside. We'll wrap the show up here. Final thoughts on the expansion, and when you give them to us, let's talk about just after 1 week. You're not locked into this being your lifetime decision, gang. Where do you kind of see this rating against other expansions? And maybe what do you want to see out of subsequent patches here to really boost it up past some expansions that might be higher on your list? Zista, we'll start with you, my friend.
This is probably my favorite expansion since Wrath of the Lich King.
And is Wrath number 1 for you on your list?
No, Mists of Pandaria is.
All right, so Mists, Wrath, Shadowlands.
Yeah.
So what can it do to overtake Wrath?
What can it do to overtake Wrath?
In its entire life. So let's say, a year and a half, 2 years?
To me, it's going to depend on the raids and the encounters coming forward. Like, as much as you guys rip on me for the story, which is true to a degree, I do enjoy story. It's probably one of my favorite aspects of the game. I just don't enjoy it in the beginning. I do have an Alliance character. I will be leveling that. It is also a Demon Hunter. And that one I usually go a lot slower on and take in the story. I just don't do that at first. But for me, it's going to depend on... I'm really looking forward to the Vampire Raid. I think that's the perfect introduction into this. And then where we go from there is what it's going to depend. I'm kind of an all around, I can't judge it so much in the beginning, because looking at this now versus trying to compare it to Wrath of the Lich King, that would have to be me comparing the beginning of this to the beginning of Wrath, and I can't even fathom what the beginning of Wrath was at this point. It's just too
Yeah,
too
this
long
is just a
gone. It's just an
tentative.
all-encompassing
We're a
thing.
week in. Where do you see it right now, and what's it got to do to move up or down on that list? So we're not going to hold you to it. So right now it's third for you, with the possibility of moving up depending on how well executed the whole raid, all the raid tiers
Absolutely.
are. Okay, all right, I think that's fair. What about you, Indy?
For me, Wrath was definitely the top. For me, it was like my favorite expansion. This is just sitting right, and it's going to depend on, I guess, the raid content. Wrath of the Lich King was some of the most fun raiding I ever did. So that's number one, but this is like a very close second. I've enjoyed it so far, and I feel like, yeah, there were some things that like I didn't really enjoy, like Ardenweald and the grindiness of it, and how the first 3 covenants you have to go through all have the kind of same, like, yeah, you have to keep proving yourself to meet our leader. And then but finally you get to Revendreth, and it's just this amazing story that kind of brings it all full circle. But there's so many loose ends still there that we don't have. So I feel like can't really make a decision yet because there's so many things we have yet to see. But it's up there. It's definitely up there. They've done an amazing job.
Yeah, it definitely kicked off on the right note for me. I put it third on my list. Wrath and Burning Crusade kind of go back and forth depending on what I'm feeling most nostalgic about that day. If it's rating, then Wrath goes up to number 1. If it's nostalgic as far as who I was playing with and, you know, my first experiences in World of Warcraft, then Burning Crusade's number 1. So I put it at number 3 right now. The raid tier, I agree, is going to have a whole lot to do with whether this moves up or down in my list. Also, the execution on the rest of the story is a big part for me, because I do feel like the last 2 expansions in particular, it was kind of like they started off with strong lore and story for me, and then just like kind of, I don't know, just like evaporated, and we're done. And oh, okay, I guess we're done. And so that really didn't kind of do it for me. If they do that with this expansion, I'll be a little disappointed. But so I'll put it in spot 3 right now. We'll see where it goes. Let's slide over and do lore or lies. This is everybody's favorite segment. We're going to give you 3 statements. I'll say 1, Zista will say 1, Indy will say 1. One of them has a lie in it. Could be a small lie, like somebody's name is wrong. Could be a big lie, like the entire damn sentence is wrong. It's your job to tell us in the comments on YouTube or on ReadyCheckRadio.com which statement is false. And you can't just tell me which statement is false. You got to tell me why. Nice try, you bunch of cheaters. Our answer last time... Sylvanas Windrunner had a younger brother named Lireth, not an elder brother, Landless. Our lore keeper, Missy, Lil Missy, make sure you give a little follow there on Twitter at Lil Missy4205. You can see it on my screen right there if you're watching on YouTube. Our lore keeper did try to trip you up using similar sounding Sindori elf names. Lirith died during the Second War by orc raiders, not the now retconned tale of a scourge death like his banshee sister. So did we get you? Let us know in the comments. Now, a little note here. Lorekeeper Missy is going to try to keep her her best not to give out too many spoilers here for Shadowlands in the coming weeks, but it is time to start pulling back that veil between life and death. So here are your lore or lie statements. Players first enter the Shadowlands directly into the jailer's realm, the Maw. This is the deepest depths and is inescapable. The worst of the worst souls are typically the ones imprisoned here to suffer without end. Go ahead, Zista.
Around the time Ner'zhul was encased within the frozen throne, the machine of death weakened. Maybe that's why he had painted his face with a skull before fleeing the burning legion, as he was given a premonition by the jailer. Eventually, the wheel of death broke when Ner'zhul merged with Arthas Menethil as the Lich King.
Indy.
The realms of the Shadowlands are floating in an infinite three-dimensional space, with Revendreth as the lowest and closest to the Maw. Since the map is a top-down view, Maldraxxus appears to be adjacent as well, but it isn't being affected by the Maw in the same way as Revendreth.
One of those statements has a falsehood in it. The other two are the stone cold truth. It's your job to tell us which one is which and why. Make sure you put it in the comments below. Now, before we head
They
on...
all seem forced to me.
Oh, well, yeah, they're all lore related, so they're all true.
False.
They're all false as far as Zista is concerned. For those of you watching live in chat on twitch.tv/ReadyCheckRadio, don't go anywhere. Right after the show here, we've got Jason Winter coming in with a stream. What are you streaming today, sir?
Well, I'm going to be continuing on with my Wasteland 3 playthrough, and I've got a special request. Wouldn't usually do this, but Mike, I'd like you to watch for the first few minutes, because a couple weeks ago I made a character for Faye. She's part of my party now. I want to make a character of you now and get you in the party. So you have to give me a little advice on how to create you and what sort of skills you'll have and so on.
I am very, very nervous by this. I'm very nervous by this. Very, very nervous by this. But I will be there. I will always be there.
They don't have pink hats, so I can't make you.
Stay tuned. Jason Winter coming up after the show here. But that's all time we've got this week. Oh, my God, my cameras. What is going on with my cameras? No.
Hi.
There they go.
Apparently I froze
There they
too.
go. There they go. No, I got you back. I got everybody back. Whew. I thought Streamlabs was going to crap the bed with the last 5 minutes here. We'll go back. We'll show Jason again real quick. Not frozen. Say hi.
Show my pretty face.
There you are. There you are. Not frozen. We'll be back next week, Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern, with another episode of Snowbound. Join us, of course, Thursday and Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern for our two other shows, The Relic Grind, that's our Square Enix Final Fantasy XIV broadcast, and Gaming Gumbo on Saturdays, which is our general gaming show. Mr. Jason Winter, a host on there as well. And make sure you're following Twitch so that you get tweets about all the latest streamers. We've got a ton of volunteers behind the scenes here. Thank you to all of them who donate their time and stream just to have some fun. All ages, all diversities, all different games and systems. Hope you'll join us and have a good time. Until next week, Indy, where can everybody find you hanging out?
You guys can find me on Twitch at IndieGarona, and I'm also on Twitter under the same name, and Instagram, and pretty much everywhere. My name is IndieGarona, so easy to find. Would love to have you by.
Zista.
You can find me at It's Zista, XIZTA, on Twitter and on Twitch at Zista, and also on the Realm Maintenance podcast this week. I did a nice little Q&A segment with Row over there, so
nice.
Please go check that out.
When will that air? Our friends at the Realm podcast are very, very cool.
It aired Monday night, so it is available.
Oh, it's already up. Yours is already up.
Yep.
Oh, cool. Nice. Go check it out. I will have to check it out. I thought it was upcoming, not past. I apologize. So I will need to check it out. I'm Mike Byrne. You can follow me personally on Twitter right there at MagicMan1. But more importantly, while you're there, follow at RC Radio, RAIDEO, so you'll get notifications on all the shows, all the streamers, and everything the minute they go live, so you can come and join us, hang out, and have a good time. Later.